Sunnahfollowers, protectors of the Sunnah. Sunnahfollowers, protectors of the Sunnah. Inna alhamdulillah wa salam ala wa rasulullah. Welcome to another session of Sunnahfollowers Hadith class. And this is the Hadith class wherein we address hadiths that relate to women, issues related to women. And let's put on the screen the hadith for discussion today. And this hadith is an authentic hadith. And the source of this hadith for today is Ibn Majah. But you can also find this hadith in Bukhari and Muslim and Muwatta as well. And it's narrated by Abu Hurairah. He said that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, whoever has intercourse with a menstruating woman or with a woman in her derriere, or whoever goes to a fortune teller and believes what is told to him, has disbelieved in that which was revealed to the Prophet Muhammad. In other words, what the Prophet was saying here, this is another example. These are other examples of sins or actions that fall in a category of disbelief. To have relations with your wife while she's on her menses, this is haram. You know it's haram, but you do it anyway. This is an action of disbelief. To have relations with your wife in her anus, knowing it is haram, but you do it anyway, this is another action of disbelief. To go to a fortune teller and you believe what he or she says, this is another action of disbelief. So this hadith shows even more what we just, the series that we just completed. There's many sins that we engage in that can put us in the category of a disbeliever. And should you die upon those sins, or should you die committing those actions, you die as a kafir. And you'll be raised up as a kafir, and you'll be put in the hellfire while you're in that grave as a kafir. Would anyone like to open this up for discussion? Are there any comments concerning this hadith? Wa alaikum salam.
If you got somebody trying to have relationships with you from your anus, number one, they got gay tendencies. Are they gay? Number two, this was self-explanatory. You know, you don't have relationships with your wife on her period, and you don't try to get none from the butt, period. If you do, you're just gay and nasty.
Exactly. And there's some women that will come to us and say, oh, well, I do this, but my husband makes me. No, there's no such thing as anyone making you. He may make you do it one time. That means he forces himself on you. But after that one time, when he's done, you should be on the phone immediately contacting someone to report what he's done and how you want a kula. You want a divorce out of that marriage. But to say that your husband does this to you all the time and he forces you, no, it takes two to tango. It takes two to even compete. Remember that song? So you can't sit there and blame it on your husband. You're letting your husband do this to you on a regular basis. He's not forcing you. You're doing it because you want to. Because all it would take is one time to force himself upon you in that manner. After that, he wouldn't be able to do it no more because you'd be out of that marriage, out of that relationship. And like Amina Fresno said, this is a sign that your husband is gay anyway. Any man that likes to do that to a woman in her anus, he's got gay tendencies. So you women need to stop that. Stop allowing your husbands to do that. And you brothers who do that, you need to grow some real ones and be a man. Okay? Ask Allah to make you a man 100% and not a little female. Okay, anyone else would like to share? Again, there's so many things that fall in disbelief. Yes, go ahead, Sister Awa.
Can you put the Hadith back on the screen? I don't have the book. Okay, so since this time we already talked about the first part, let me talk about the second one. About those who go to the fortune teller. Unfortunately, a lot of people does that, especially in my country, African people. They believe what the fortune teller said instead of turning to Allah. When they know that something's going on in their marriage or they don't like a person, they're quick to go to a fortune teller and try to do something for them or give them some food, some poison to put in the food and something like that. But they don't realize that doing that, it is a big sin. Sorry. They don't know that doing that. Oh, I can't talk anymore. Yeah, hello.
Yes, go ahead, Sister Fame.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullah.
I'll just pick up from where Sister Awa left off, and I just want to say that it's true that what she said, and I agree with her because those of us who grew up in a society and an environment like this, like we see it practiced all the time, especially with our elders and stuff, like the parents and grandparents. They like this is just stuff that they do because this is what they saw like their parents and their parents doing. And they try to pass that on to the rest of us, but those of us who know better and, learn the truth and we kind of distance ourselves from them. But as far as they go, like, there's really nothing we can do about them. And we just if we were to talk to them, like, what y'all doing is wrong, they're not going to listen to us because they just look at us like, y'all just kids and, you don't know what you're talking about. So we just let it go. We just pray for them and we don't get involved, but it is sad and it does happen and it's still happening. Like it's not something that's been going on for years and years. And unfortunately it's still going on. And that's the sad part. And the thing is, like, when they go to these fortune tellers, they don't do it for free. Like the fortune people, they don't do it for free. They ask them like certain amount of money, and it's not like a little, give me $20 and I'll tell you this, but it's something like you have to give them like 400 this or 500, sometimes even 1,000 and 2,000, and they actually paid that amount of money to like tell them all these things about, like, if they're having a sickness, instead of going to the doctor seeking that medical attention, they'll instead go to the fortune teller because they feel like the fortune teller knows more than the doctor because they get to tell them these things about their lives. And we talked about in class about how fortune teller people work with their personal jinn and them communicating with your jinn and all that, but like they don't understand that, and they've never learned that. And when the fortune teller tells them about their lives, they're just like, how can you not expect these people to help me, because they knew all these things about me and I never told them this. So to them, they're just surprised because they don't know. And it's just like kind of hard to like explain to them, like, this is not true. Like, y'all need to stop doing this. And they don't listen. And like, there's really nothing we can do about it. So.
Exactly. Even here in American culture, the American people will get on the phone and call the psychic hotline in a heartbeat. Yeah. I know a lot of my coworkers, whenever they wanted to, they wanted to know something. Oh, did you call the psychic hotline? Because they got all these psychics you can call, and we can tell you what's going to happen and give you advice over the phone. Pay us $100 an hour and all this. So this is a problem everywhere. Because one of the weaknesses of a human being is we would like to know what's going to happen tomorrow. We're always wanting to know what's going to happen. So we give into that, and we'll pay the money to have somebody tell us what they think is going to happen tomorrow, and under not accepting the fact that only Allah knows what's going to happen. Again, and to believe what the fortune teller says, you have disbelieved in Allah. This invalidates your shahada. But Muslims do it all the time. Muslims do it all the time, every culture. Even American Muslims, like I told you, there's a psychic person down the street from me with their office, and you drive past there's a bunch of cars in that person's driveway. People coming from all over to get their fortune read, and that's sad. This is disbelief. So again, this is a wonderful hadith. You know, the Prophet. Remember, Allah tells us everything we need to know, you know, of what's going to take us to paradise. And he's told us everything we need to know about the things that'll take us to hell. And here are examples: to have relations with a menstruating woman, or to have relations with a woman in her behind, or to go to the fortune teller and believe what he or she says. You know, these are things that Allah commands us to stay away from and commands us to avoid. And the people who refuse to listen and who do these things, they are falling in a category of people who have disbelieved in Allah. And should they die having not repented from those sins, they die the death of an unbeliever. Yes, Brother Ammar.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullah.
Okay, I just want to add regarding fortune teller. I mean, I feel like those people, the people who go to fortune teller, they don't agree with the decree of Allah, and mostly they want an easy route to solve their issue, like whatever they're going through. Like they don't want to struggle, or they don't have any patience. The characters we told about, like we were discussing, like in the Tawheed class, they don't have anything of any characteristic, those who go to fortune tellers.
Exactly. These are people, like he said, that are not in agreement with the decree of Allah. These are people, human beings, who do not want to accept that Allah knows what's best. And Allah has already written what will happen. You know, they don't want to accept that. So they rather go and pay somebody to tell them what they want to hear, instead of accepting and dealing with what Allah has given them. And that's what makes them unbelievers. The Prophet ﷺ said, every nation has its pagans, and the pagans of our nation are those who cannot accept the decree of Allah. And most Muslims today are weak and are not in acceptance of his decree. They can't even accept what's going on over there in Gaza. They can't even accept what's happening in Syria. They cannot accept what's happening here in America. You know, these are people who are discontent, you know, with what Allah has decreed to be. They need to work on that. Okay, I'd like to thank everybody for joining us and participating in this session. And even though this hadith falls in this topic of advice of hadiths for Muslim women, this doesn't just apply to Muslim women, it applies to men too. You know, you men should never touch your wives in an intimate way, that way when she's on her menses, nor ever touch her anus. And even you brothers should stay away from fortune telling. All right, so I want to thank everybody for participating in this session. We're going to close it up here. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdika, ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta, astaghfiruka wa atubu.